All right, we're back. High Flyer TV. This is another episode. This time we have Master Sergeant Todd Wickham, who is a social media guru in our squadron, I like to believe. It's a lot of times where I go on his page, and if I need content, boom, there it is. Never ceases to fail me. So welcome, Sergeant Wickham. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, sir, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, lovely background. As you can see, I'm on the beach, so I had to take a day off,
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous.
Right? And I'm breaking the travel ban, so,
Yeah, that's that automatic goal there. I like it.
Right. Yes, I mean, we'll get right into this. I had a few questions for Sergeant Wickham, and I think this will help the squadron and other recruiters, because the channel that we have is public to anyone who wants to watch it. So how long have you been in recruiting?
So just over 3 years. I hit 3 years in March.
Awesome. And since you've been in recruiting, I mean, would you say social media has been a huge thing that you needed to know?
So for me, I'm definitely, I relate a lot with our generation that we're recruiting, honestly, to where I would much rather text somebody than call them initially, like a cold call, like, nah, I'm good. Like, let me give you a cold text. So I thought of it from that standpoint of why not put the content out there? And if they see it, cool, awesome, great. If they have interest, they'll follow me. They'll add me as a friend. So at least the information's out there. So that's kind of what led me to begin with. It was just kind of almost being an introvert. So.
Okay, great. I think, with me, it was a little more natural. I think with my degree, we did a lot of social media kind of things, but the practice had to become a habit. It's one thing learning something, but actually doing it. And, like I said, I just following your page has been something to where when it comes to creating graphics, different innovative ways to get information across, you're one of the main people, I think, in the squadron. And every time marketing contacts us about social media, they always bring up your name, and this is a page you should look at. So that's awesome. So what are some current marketing efforts that you've been, doing with social media and online, and how did you develop them, or how do you make them pop?
So, I appreciate the shout out from everyone. I will be the first to say that I did not create anything. I definitely am somebody that I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I just take best practices from other people. So when I started my page, I first looked at adding, an audience. And then, so trying to just find followers, find stuff. But I followed other recruiters. And so just like what, marketing say, oh, follow Sergeant Wickham, he's cool with it. Thanks. But I'm just following other recruiters, and we all share one another's content. There's actually a recruiter in New York. When I first started my account, he was probably the first other recruiter that I followed outside the squadron. And I saw some great stuff that he was doing, and he was using some tools that he would take to school events. And I would see him post him at a school event. And I was like, what is it? What is that chart that you got on your page right there, your table set up? So, and then we started a Google Drive, and we just started sharing products between each other, because even our squadrons, our groups, they don't talk to one another. They don't share a lot of that content. And so now with Facebook, being a great tool for the MTI to recruiters, that page there, that's gave a lot of information this time for COVID-19. So I don't know if that answered your question at all, because I'm going all the way off topic, but it's foundational. And it's fundamental. If you're not using social media prior to COVID-19, I think you were in the wrong. And this really highlights why it's important, because now you can't go to school visits. You can't go zone canvas. So I'm not going to say this is the end all be all, but it is a very important aspect of it. I should say, in my opinion, this should be a third of your job is social media. So.
Yeah, that did answer the question exactly, because that is the marketing effort that you're doing, social media. And exactly what you said is true. You don't need to have a specific marketing plan or reinvent the wheel. The main point of this is that there's already all these things that are already invented and created for you. All you have to do is follow the pages or seek out the information, like in this video right here. I just found this recruiter in California. I think his name is Sergeant Runyon, or he has a whole right? He has a whole instruction manual on
4-hour work week.
Exactly. So with his advice, I created a Google Sites page, and was able to maximize on that and get a lot of great feedback from it. Got my Yelp page. So it's just like you said, I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. But the key is you do need to do it. You have to be active on social media or you're not going to be found.
Something I took out of it, and he even said it too, like, not everyone's going to agree on the same thing. Like, so I'm not going to tell you have to have an Instagram page. You have to have a Facebook page. Like, for me, like, I don't see personally a lot of value out of Yelp. That's my personal opinion, but it's also going to depend on your zone too. People in your zone might use Yelp, but like where I'm at, Southern Ohio, like not an urban place at all. Like no one's going to Yelp. Same thing, like my flight chief gave us an expectation to set up your Google page, which I think is important. You should definitely have it out there, but have Google reviews, which, yeah, that definitely helps if you see a 5-star review as opposed to a 1.2. But I've never, when I was considering the Air Force, I wasn't like, oh, let's go look up this Google reviews on this recruiter before I go into their office. But I have had parents actually reach out and be like, I saw you had great reviews. So, shout out to the flight chief because somebody actually is going on there and looking up Google reviews on recruiters. So,
yeah, I think every perspective and little bit helps because like in my area, for example, Google reviews are very helpful because we have 3 offices in a pretty close vicinity. Okay. So it's like, if people look at Google, I've had people say, hey, your office seems to be performing well or is the better office in their grad. So they're making that choice on who I want to work with. So, it definitely depends. But in an area like yours where you're the only, it's like, I ain't about to go on Google and, hey, this person's good. And if not, I'm going to travel an hour away to the next recruiter. I might as well do that.
Right. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, if you got multiple people to pick from, yeah.
Yeah. But that's awesome. So, they kind of highlighted to some of these already, but do you have any more marketing tips or just overall tricks for rookie recruiters?
So I created a brief list. So the things that I found to be the most beneficial will be first, like choose your platform wisely. So figure out what the people that you're trying to recruit are using. So I was fortunate enough to go to a marketing event that AFRS held a couple of years ago with Sergeant Ross, and GDSM put out all these statistics on, hey, Facebook is for old people. If you're in touch, you'll know that. But cool, our applicants, they still do have Facebook, and I think it is good because you do obviously want to talk to their parents too. So I personally have Facebook. Facebook is also a really good tool to use for following schools and also following other businesses. And so when I first started my page, it was obviously reaching out and finding that audience, but also following your school, seeing what they're doing, what events that they have going on. Because, unless you're able to live in your school 24/7, you can't do that if you have 30-something schools. So you have to pick a few of your schools and invest a lot of your time into those, and just work smarter and not harder. So I use Facebook as a tool to just do research. When I get a lead that pops up in asterisk, the first thing I do is not call them or text them. I go to Facebook or Instagram and look up their name. Oh, are they overweight? Do they have a tattoo that's in the wrong spot? Are they taking a picture with a blunt? So those are the things that I'm looking. So let me see who I'm going to talk to first, if I can find them. So doing a little intel on them first, it takes 30 seconds to look up their name and get a brief synopsis on who this person is and what they want to accomplish. And then I'll call them or text them. And then after that phone call, if everything goes well, then I'll add them as a friend. And so then they can start seeing some exposure, continual exposure, instead of just having one really good phone call. But now they got that one really good phone call and they're seeing my feed of other people that are going through the process. So kind of building on top of it. So it's not just a one-stop shop. It's something that's continually ongoing. So I chose Instagram and Facebook. I know that Upland, California recruiter you were talking about, he lives and dies by Instagram. And I think there's a lot of good value out of that. But I see value also on Facebook. So for me, it's those two. I know other recruiters, DOD is supposedly not supposed to be using TikTok. But yeah, TikTok, a lot of people use TikTok. Other ones use Snapchat. I'm married. I'm not going to use Snapchat. So, but yeah, more power to you if you can recruit on Snapchat.
Yeah, I haven't mastered
So that was kind of, yeah, choose your platform. And then as far as like finding your audience, I use School List. I also use like the leads that came in after, which we already talked about, but then also using those leads that you found or your School List leads and friending their friends. It's all the same pot of people. So go to their friend list and just add all those people. Go to their Instagram and see who they're following. And you can tell whether, obviously, yeah, they're following Michael Jordan. Okay, well, you don't need to follow Michael Jordan unless you want to. I mean, he is the greatest. So, but anyway, like, go follow all their friends. Like, so I had an expectation last week of get 30 more Instagram followers. Well, 5 people unfollowed me, so boo to them. But I ended up getting 46 just by going to a couple other friends that I already had or other followers and just adding their followers. Like, so that's the easiest way that I've been able to find building an Instagram following. So it's just friending other people or following other people. And then, so the next tip I would say is just find the best time to post. So throughout our workday, like obviously it's convenient for us to post at, maybe first thing when you get in the office, but that may not be the best time to put content out there into the social media realm. There's a lot less people on their phone at 9 a.m. as opposed to in the evening when they're laying in bed and all that stuff. So I'm kind of that person where my phone's attached to me, unfortunately. I've tried to find a good relationship where I put it down and focus on family time. But yeah, almost anytime like I leave the room, I'm looking at my phone. Okay, do I got a new text? Do I got a new, is there something else going on? So to get away from that habit, there's apps that are out there that you can instantly create a timeline of what you want to post, and it'll automatically post it, not just to one app, but to multiple social media posts. So it really does the work for you. And so if you want to post something at Friday at 10 p.m., you don't have to actually do it. You can just set it to schedule it to do it at that point in time. So that's something that I found that was very, very helpful. Just using other tools. We already kind of hit on this about not reinventing the wheel. Find those other recruiters that are doing things well. Something else, though, too, is not just Air Force recruiters. Our competition is doing really good things, too, on social media. So what I did is I used my personal account, and I follow some other Marine recruiters, some other Army recruiters that are doing well. And I have my 2 Instagrams tied together, but on my personal account or my fake account, I'll save their posts, and then I'll okay, let me reinvent this and change this to the Air Force side of it, give it the Air Force spin, and then put it out there. So once again, just not like some of the content I do come up with. Yeah, it is original, but half the time, I'm not that inventive. I'm Googling, I'm looking at seeing what is working for other people and just putting it out there. So it does take a little bit of legwork outside of just, reposting, which even reposting can sometimes be a little bit in depth depending on how much you want to change. Oh, all right, 3 more. So post-relevant content. So it's cool to put up a chart with some information about how cool the Air Force is and how much retention the Air Force has. That means absolutely nothing to a lot of people. So even like a pay chart, a pay chart, cool. All right, that's what I'm going to make. I've never seen somebody look at the DoD pay chart and be like, that's a lot of money.
Right.
So we know how much we get paid. So it's really, we have to sell a story and not sell the product, if that makes any sense. So we need to sell the successes of our applicants. So when somebody swears in, that's their first step. Cool, awesome, highlight that. When somebody goes to basic, that's the first real big step. But when they come back, when they get coined at tech school, when they get, a BTZ stripe, we need to be highlighting those efforts as well. So continue to follow your airmen. So I separate everyone on Facebook anyway. The people I put in, I actually mark them on Facebook to where you follow them and you see every post they put up. So those people are the ones that I see the highlight posts. So when good things happen to them and they share them, I can share that with the rest of the world, with their peers that are still here. As another airman that I put in, Grace Brown, she said she came home and she was like, yeah, nothing changed. Everyone, the only thing that changed is people dropped out of college and they're pregnant. So I can catch those college dropouts and hopefully put them in the Air Force.
100%.
Yeah. And then, so use hashtags and emojis. So I came up with like my own little like thing or whatever. And I put it in every one of my posts. So a little American flag, a little jet going up, and a little fist. Okay. So like, that's mine. Like, but that's what I put up. And I'm sure I got that from some other recruiter too, where, oh yeah, it was a Spec Ops recruiter. At the end, I have no idea what it means. Spec Ops Careerfields might know, but he put a crab at the end of all his posts. I'm like, all right, yeah, so cool. Like, I came up with my own little one. So when somebody sees it, even if they're just kind of going through real fast, I'm like, oh, okay, that's an Air Force recruiter.
Yep.
So just, the whole thing of like, oh, if they see an Air Force pin 7 times, they might join the Air Force. Like,
hey, never know.
Yeah. And then just don't be afraid to fail. So try something. The only way that you're truly going to fail is by not trying. So just put content out there. If you look at some of my early content to some of the stuff I have now, that early stuff was garbage, but it got me to where I am. It taught me the things that I know now. So those are probably the biggest tips that I would say to begin with, are just those steps.
Yeah, I think those are great tips. I mean, it's a lot of information, but this is a video that people can rewatch. And another point of why we do this, which I said in the last episode, is because people might hear your name in the squadron, or new folks, or may know of you, but now they see a video of you talking and they say to themselves, oh, okay, now I can put a name to a face. I'm not afraid to, when I see this person in person, to ask more questions because they're willing to help, and I know that they know this information now, which is great, because sometimes you may get emails and it, or text, hey, Sergeant Wickham's, hit him up for social media tips, but you don't know who Sergeant Wickham is. Or you're like, I don't know if this guy's even really wanting to help me. But this video, kind of elaborates to the fact that you are willing to help, even if somebody doesn't catch all the information in this video.
No, I mean, I really appreciate you putting this together, man. I think this is a amazing resource for people to use, whether it's just, sharing a recruiter lifestyle, what you did last episode with, hey, what are you doing to improve yourself right now? Since, we might have some additional free time. So what are you doing to improve yourself? So it's an awesome tool that won't only just help people professionally, but it's going to help them personally too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and just letting them know we all go through the same struggles, and none of us are true social media gurus. Maybe like one or two. There was one guy in our squadron, I think his name is Sergeant Pace. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. Sergeant Franco or Sergeant Pace, one of the
Franco two. Pace, yeah. So, yeah.
And man, this guy, it's a post that I used of his, and he was able to relate Tiger King, which was trending, which is still trending, to a post. And when I post that post, it was like immediate response. Everybody resonated with it. And I think that's key too. Like you said, finding relevant content that, matches with pop culture and what the people are interested in. And finding a way to reinvent that to where now you're marketing the Air Force is the key. It's pretty cool. And then it separates you too from other recruiters, because they're like, dang, the Air Force really gets us, versus somebody else posting a chart of, something nobody cares about, really.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So the other question I had, we already kind of touched that. It was how important social media is. But, obviously you said you agree that it should be 1/3 of your business. So, I mean, that in itself shows this is important.
Yeah. I mean, the coronavirus kind of highlights this, because if I was thankfully doing this stuff beforehand, but the recruiters that didn't have a social media account established, now they're working from home and they're doing cold calls. And we know how effective cold calls can normally be, or just how tiresome that they can kind of be. No one really wants to do it. So, like, why don't you take control of the situation and build your own page? And one of the things I didn't even put on there, man, but this is probably the most important in my mind, is personalizing it. So my pages, the pictures of me, like my cover page or whatever, I'm not in a uniform. Like, I'm definitely still professional and all that good stuff. But like, it's me and my family. So realizing that, like, people, when I meet them at school visits, I'm sure you ran into this before, like, oh, I can never join the military. I don't want to be deployed all the time, living on a cot in, Sand City, whatever it is. I'm like, it's not like that. So like, my wife and I, we were thankful, to go to Disneyland in California in February. And so when we went there, I bought those tickets through ITT. That gave me an opportunity to highlight, I'm using Air Force leave, so I'm still getting paid. I use the Air Force resource of ITT, so I'm getting cheap tickets and cheap travel. So like all those things. So I was able to post this picture of me and my family enjoying some vacation that, thanks to my job in the Air Force, has allowed me to live this type of lifestyle. So promoting a lifestyle and personalizing it, I think, is something that is a huge disconnect with at least my customers, and I'm sure it is for yours as well. Those people that are right outside the base, like, yeah, they may have it because they know what the Air Force is really about and what the lifestyle is like. But those people that aren't near a base, we have to kind of inform them and show them that, hey, the Air Force isn't what you think it is. You know, it's not Jarhead. It's not any of these other movies that you've seen. We do have a job and we do it well, but we have time off. You're not working 24/7. So.
Definitely not, man. And we actually have more time off than most jobs, most careers, and that's the crazy thing. It's kind of ironic. They don't want to join because they're fearful they're not going to have time off or be away from their family, where most military people have a lot of time off and are always with their family, and maybe you're lucky enough to be stationed close to family. Mm-hmm. I know I have, which is pretty awesome. So that's cool. So great tips, great information. This last question may or may not catch you off guard because I didn't write it down in there. But what are you doing during Corona season to stay active, develop yourself? What are you doing?
Okay, so pretty much as far as the active piece, so my son, he is just over 1, so I got a little jogging stroller, and so we hit the streets out here in Kettering, and just so we stay active that way. But as far as everything else, watching a lot of great Netflix series in my free time. Outlander is pretty good. I unfortunately watched Tiger King. I fell into that trap, so. But for me, it's been a great opportunity to reinvest a lot of time into my family. I cover 2 different zones. I chose to move to Dayton, so I live about an hour and 15 minutes from my primary office, and the secondary zone I'm covering is an hour and 40 minutes. So before coronavirus, I spent 3 hours to 4 hours on the road every day. So that's a lot of time that now I can invest back into my family. So it's kind of been obviously I don't want anybody to die or get sick or anything like that, but this has been a little hidden blessing for me and my family. So.
For sure, man. Now you got to find a way to get rid of the phone.
Yeah. No, hey, the thing is, man, like, seriously, like, I'm still hitting the same numbers that I normally was hitting before, though. Like, going back to social media, because outside of being in the office, like, yeah, it's a little bit more tiresome of uploading files to DoD Safe or having them send their documents. So we got to jump through some more hoops to get them into the Air Force. But it hasn't really changed on my end for anything. So outside of just getting some more quality time with my family.
That's awesome. All right, buddy. Well, that's all I got for you. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. Any last words or?
No, I appreciate what you're doing, man. Keep growing that beard.
Yeah, I think this is as far as it's going to grow. At this point.
We'll see.
I doubt it. But, all right, buddy. Well, this has been High Flyer TV, where we report the real on recruiting.